Okay, well, I had an immersive view and I had to take that off so that we could just have the speakers. Well, thank you. It's good to see everybody. We've had these affinity group meetings and people have met, but we haven't all met together. So here we are all meeting together. This is pretty exciting. So what we can, the question is.
Well, how about introductions first?
Yeah. Okay, so let's do the introductions. Everybody can introduce themselves racially, ethnically, and then we'll go, each person will have a chance to do the question. Then we'll talk together. So I'll just call people the way I see them on my screen, if that's the easiest. And at the top left of my screen, I see Ken Epstein. So Ken, welcome.
Thank you, Diane. Good morning, everybody. I'm Ken. It's a really honor to be here. I'm new to this group, and thank you, Lane, for inviting me. So I'm already really impressed and moved by the beginning. I am white, identify as white, and Jewish. Middle generation of 3 generations of social work, and a very recent grandfather.
All big accomplishments, congratulations. So thank you, Ken. Moving to my right is Sundiata.
And I just want to mention, maybe if folks could really just, because we have so many other important things to talk about, just say your name and how you identify racially and ethnically, and then we'll jump into the topic. But that was great to hear. Congratulations, Mazel Tov.
My name is Sundiata, and I identify racially as a human. I also identify as a Moorish American, and I would be connected with the people known as African Americans or so-called Blacks.
Thank you, Sundiata. Clarification. So moving to the right, Nikki.
Hi, I'm Nikki, and thank you, Sundiata. I think I said your name right, but I was actually thinking the same thing. I identify as human, and I identify as as Spanish and Moroccan and Jewish.
Thank you. I love these self-identifications. So Lane, did you have anything? Okay. Leah?
Thank you. So I identify as white, as Jewish, as both Ashkenazi and Sephardi, so a bit of mixed white and colored, I suppose. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And Frank.
Hi, my name is Frank, and I identify as a human as well. I was trying to figure out what to do for race. So I am a human Black man.
Thank you. And TC. You're muted.
My name is TC. I do identify, in this context, I was not seen as human in the covenant with the government that I live under. So I do identify as African in America.
Thank you, TC. I really honor everybody for their expansion and clarification and what we do on this self-identification. So thank you. And now, Lane, how do you want to go from here?
You want to, I think everybody heard the questions, but do folks want Diane to, or me to state those questions again? Is that needed? I think we should just jump in.
Yeah, let me state the question again because it had a preface. And then when I finish, I think I'll drop that question into the well, nope. I can't drop it into the chat right this minute, but, or maybe I can. But anyway, here's the question. As we said in the beginning, this summit is more than a meeting. It is a call to action, an invitation to unite in solidarity, amplify our voices, and catalyze change. The question for the Fishbowl: how do we do that? How do we build relationships and find common cause in this moment?
Well, I guess I'll jump on in. I think a good way to start would be with how we started today, which is to look at how both groups are under attack, the commonality of certain situations. Now, those of us who are going to look into it, we know that there are differences, but death is death and being attacked is being attacked. So at the common core, I think we can get together on that as far as survival. Then we'll have to work out some details as we go along, but that's not what this meeting is for.
Thank you, Sundiata. What Sundiata is underscoring is allies for justice and liberation.
And that's important. Death is death. That kind of brings us right to an important point.
I was gonna say that I think, and I think Sundiata is touching on this, but ultimately the way that we can unite on this is to actually feel individually connected to each other. And so for me, what's important before we get into more of the theoretical, how do we unite against X, is in this space, do I feel connected to these other people that are here, obviously with the same intention as me?
Mhm.
So I'm just really feeling into that and feeling into my body. I have a lot of excitement about this. I also have some nervousness, and I, you know, for me, the way that I feel connected is when I speak my truth. And so I want to mention that, you know, there's one part of me that is so excited about this, and that I know we're all connected in it. And there's a part of me that really feels that I want to understand better how the Juneteenth event was chosen to be on a Saturday. And I feel like there's a part of me that's holding that, and it's not preventing me from connecting, but it is definitely in my forefront.
Well,
So I think, yeah,
let me just answer that so that
please.
so that it's clear for all of those who might hold that same question. We've been doing events for these exact type of events for 3 years, and all of our events, we chose Saturday because it is the time and the day when most of the people who come to our events can come. And it is also the time we always look at ourselves. We're the ones putting this on. We have to be able to find a time when we can do this. So we look at, you know, historically in our time, Saturday has been the date. It doesn't have to stay that forever, but historically that's what it's been. And so we chose Saturday. And we chose Saturday because all 6 of the people who are doing this found a Saturday that they could do it. It's not, as you know, as everybody knows, finding time on a schedule is always complicated. So it's not complicated. We chose the date. because that is the time when most people historically who have come to our events from all over, just like the time of day, we're looking at, what's going on in Europe, what's going on in the United States, and pulling people that come to our events from that. Like I said, it doesn't have to always stay that way, but that's the way we've chosen, and that's the way we chose this date.
I appreciate what you're saying, Diane. So first of all, for me, how we build relationship is by becoming friends and being able to talk openly about these things. And for me, it saddens me. And I understand what you're saying, that historically that's how it is. And I know that there are some Jewish people, and including myself, I hesitated to come because it's on Saturday. And I am here because I know you and Lane have had this conversation, and that you understand going forward, the impact of that. But there are some people that aren't here today because it's Shabbat.
Well, thank you.
And
Thank you. Thank you. Go ahead.
no, and so for me, we're missing an opportunity to really be inclusive of all the people who want to be here.
Yeah, thank you. There are, Sundiata, TC.
If I may,
Yes, go ahead.
The how, I'm unsure. And today is my sacred day also. But it's part of my spiritual journey to be here. It's part of my witness to be here and to be a part of this. I can't speak for anyone else. It's part of my journey to share my testimony and my martyrdom, my witness in this. But for me, the biggest piece is when someone says I identify as white, I don't give them my back.
Mm-hmm.
When someone identifies as historically been my other, then I have a hard time giving my back. But my spiritual man says, let's have a conversation. Let's engage. Because everything I've learned in my lifetime has taught me, I'm just being open, not to trust white folk. Because when I started, I was seen as 3/5 of a human being. And historically, I have not seen the Jewish community speak to that way. I've seen allies along the way, but as a community at large, I haven't seen that. So I bring that. I'm part of white supremacy, so that I carry that in my body. Am I anti-Semitic? I'm under white supremacy. I carry that in my body. I'm embracing that. I'm putting that on the table. So I'm saying, this is my stuff. There it goes.
Can I speak to the comment real quick?
Sure.
With all due respect, this is a Juneteenth celebration. So at the forefront of everything, this is about the struggles, the death, the discrimination, the continued castration of Black people, so-called Black people. That happened on the 19th, which happened this week. A lot of people were working. So the first time when everybody had a chance to come is on a Saturday. That's what this is about. We're also trying to build an affinity group about shared pain. So the day that it's on, there was no disrespect to anybody, because I also celebrate the Sabbath, as do many people who understand certain things, and we respect it. But we keep our eye on what this is about.
The prize.
I feel I want to say something, and it's an and statement. I'm very much aware that I am invited to this. and that it's not about me. It is Juneteenth, and it's a discussion about that. And that's why I'm still here. That's why I came. And there's still that part of me that says, well, if you're inviting an affinity group to talk, then why could you not, for that specific moment when you invited that affinity group, that part of their identity is that Saturday is their day of rest? Why did you not make it an exception? If you really wanted to bridge that, if you really wanted to have these conversations.
If I may, I respect what you're saying, but there ain't no day of rest for me and mine. Ain't none. None. Ain't no day of rest. So I hear you take privilege. It's your day of rest. I don't get a day of rest. So, and that was said harshly, so let me take that back. In love, the invitation was extended. In love, I believe you accepted that invitation. And if we can work out another day for folk to meet, let's do that. But in love, let's build a bridge. You accept it, you're here. So there was something in that invitation that says, I want to be there.
Absolutely.
And if I can make you feel comfortable and safe, let me do that by saying, in love, we came. This morning, I preached at 4 o'clock in the morning. This time I'm with this group, I'm away from my family. But I see another family across the way I want to get to know better and build a bridge. So we're both making a great sacrifice to be here. And I honor you for being here. I see you and I hear you. And I'm hearing others. But I'm saying welcome and thank you for coming.
TC, that's actually what I needed. That's what I needed. I think that I was a bit triggered by Diane's original reasoning. But what I needed to hear is, I hear you, and I believe that we can be here in love. And I hear that it is also a sacrifice for you. I do have privilege. I look white to everybody. Do I identify as white? No, but I have a lot of privilege in that. And here I am.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, yeah.
Let me just say, before you start, Lane, that we're also hearing our own truth and honesty. So I could have thought through and come up, but I gave you the reason that we decided, and that's it. And so, and I really appreciate, I mean, you know, flawed that I am, this is who I am, this is what we did. And I really appreciate, and I'm grateful to have people, other people, Leah, Ken, TC, Sundiata, Frank, that bring something else. We're all bringing something to this today. So, Lane?
Yeah, I just want to say that in order for us, what I'm hearing is, in order for us to actually show up, in order for us all to make relationship, to find common cause, we have to be able to hear each other's pain, including the pain that we cause each other. So I heard loud and clear what you said, TC, that you said, am I anti-Semitic? Well, I am under the thumb of white supremacy that considers me non-human. And you look at me, and I got the skin and I got the privilege. So I have to be able to hear that. Leah, Nikki, I hear you saying, this is my pain about this. And I heard TC saying, I hear that. And so how can we hear each other's pain and not get stopped by that as, oh, somebody's accusing me, so now I have to tighten up. How do we get through that? So thank you, TC and Nikki and Diane, for that.
One thing I think about whenever we have these kind of conversations, and they don't happen all the time. So it's groundbreaking as they may be, going back to the 60s. The devil don't take days off. Violence towards us, hatred towards us doesn't stop. It doesn't take a day off. We are responsible for handling what we got to handle. So that means that on my day that I celebrate as the Sabbath, the seventh day, the day that the Creator rested and that I rest, and and I respect the people that do it tomorrow. You understand what I'm saying? And the people who did it yesterday. Those, we have to respect each other, but we also have to keep our eyeballs on what's happening. You know what I mean? So this was the day when we had to come together, and it was the best way for us to do it. I appreciate those people who made that sacrifice and came on through. And we're all, I think the commonality is that I think we don't know enough about each other, because many of us celebrate Saturday the same way. Well, maybe not the same way, but we also respect it too. We have to respect everybody's day.
Well, I think that's the important thing. And I've heard that kind of underscored by pretty much everyone that's spoken, is how it's important to get together and get to know each other. You can't decide if you're going to be in common cause with a person or an organization or a government, anything, unless you know something about them and you feel comfortable co-signing what it is that they're doing. And like you said, Sundiata, these don't happen often, and they don't happen without mistakes being made or people trying to do the best that we can. Can't do Friday, can't do Saturday, can't do Sunday, do it at 4 o'clock on a Thursday. Everybody's working. So it's always, there has to be some kind of sacrifice in what we do if it's important to us. So it may be one of those things where I might be triggered in one way, but it's important for me to be here and to express that. And it's also important for the group to hear that and figure out how we can kind of process that and get beyond the things that we might have had trepidations about being there. Because the fact that we're all sitting here makes a huge difference on whether or not we can collaborate, because the first thing you have to do is get to know each other. And I always say that it's a whole lot harder to ignore or not help someone if you know them. And it's a whole lot easier to do it if you don't know them. If I don't know you, I'm sorry. I've got a limited bandwidth. I wish I could, but I can't. If I know you, whatever it is that I'm doing, I'm dropping it because you need my help. So how can I help you? And the first thing, these are like glorified cookouts. You invite folks and you sit there and you figure out if we can know each other and hang out. And it doesn't have to be political or anything. I just want to know, do I like this person? If I like this person, what do you do? What do you work for? That's cool. If you're cool with them, I'm cool with them. And then you kind of build on that. But you have to get into the room before we can decide, yeah, I want to get behind this person and this organization and lend my support and my word to it, because that means a lot.
Frank,
I just wanted to close the loop real quick. First, Frank, thank you for everything you said. I am in complete agreement with you. And I just wanted to say that, as I said in the beginning, I just needed to get that piece out. So
Exactly.
that piece feels answered, so we can move on and I can be fully present. So
And I just, that the fact that you brought that piece out, brought out this other important thing in the background, which is how do we trust each other, and is my pain heard in this, and can I have your back? Can you have my back?
Yeah.
Ken, sorry to interrupt.
Oh, I just wanted to come to the barbecue and break bread with you all and put my voice in the screen, if you will. I'm pretty humbled by that question of how do we find common cause? And I was thinking about the day, you know, in some ways, in white supremacist America, there's no good day. They told us there's no good day. And so maybe it's like every day. And because somebody's sacrificing something on every day. You know, I was thinking as the conversation was going that, you know, we're 2.2% of the United States, that being Jews, you know, we're not a monolith. And my story, the only way I know how to find common cause is to look in the mirror at my story. And my story is not somewhat like the story, Diane, even in the common cause between Jews and Blacks. That's not the story I grew up with. I grew up in a history of folks that weren't Jewish, weren't white, didn't consider themselves white, weren't treated white in Europe, or didn't experience themselves as white, and came to the United States and took all the opportunities of being white. And so when I look in the mirror, I think to find common cause, I have to understand how I got to the screen. And I have to live and understand and articulate and understand that each day as I walk in this world as white, there's harm that has done and that I do. And to find common cause, I need to do my work. And so just being in the screen and hearing you say, TC, about love, and about the experience of not being treated human, I have to understand that that's the legacy of my family coming from Europe, moving in the 1890s to the Lower East Side, and getting opportunity, often at the expense of people of color, to get land or resource or jobs that gave us privilege. And in that ways, that's the way white supremacy divides, even those that have been, you know, death is death. And so my family did not die in the Holocaust. My family died in pogroms in Europe. But my experience in the United States has been, so when I look in the mirror, my experience in the United States has been the socialization into whiteness. And so part of finding common cause is trying to undress that for myself so that I can be in space with others. And I just appreciate this space that you've created for me to be with you, to meet you all, and to learn. And that's the best way I know how to be in common cause. And from there, use that spirit as I do each day, that recognition, to begin to repair, and then to use my voice to speak to other white Jews or white people, and get into conversations that are incredibly uncomfortable and difficult. And I think that's how I find common cause. And if that then allows me to be in this space and fight racism, which I see as the common cause, then I feel like that's why I'm sitting in this room. And so I so appreciate it. Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks, Ken.
Thank you, Ken. One of the things that you said was that you, or the main thing that I heard was that you have to look in the mirror and look at yourself. So what does that mean? That's just not just to you, Ken, but just what does it mean to look in the mirror?
Well, one thing I'll say, and then I don't want to take up any more space, but one thing I'll say is that it means that I have to look at my silence and what that means. And when I hear things in my family or among my friends or in meetings that take place, can I find the voice and the courage to not put the energy and on Black and brown people to have to always say something to the ways and things that are happening. So one thing is to find my voice in spaces and places where harm is being done, and get better at that. And, you know, I often fail, and to get better and better in my life at that. So that's just one place, Diane.
Thank you.
I would like to add to that. So TC said, I carry white supremacy in my body. And I relate to that. For me, that is also me looking in the mirror. I grew up with both that conflict between the white Jew and the Black Jew inside of me, and in my society, and so that supremacy is very present for me. So that is also part of what I see in the mirror.
The mirror is a deep concept when it comes to me, in my experience, because if you look at the screen, you can see how dark I am. So growing up in this country, that wasn't necessarily the lick. It wasn't super popular, even amongst my own people. And that wasn't due to self-inflicted self-hatred. There was a big, there's a lot behind it. So coming to learn to love myself and love my people and love, it was really mainly through history, my parents, mainly my mom's. And, that mirror thing is a real funny thing, because we have to struggle with all those things. Every time we look in the mirror, we have all these things that America is kicking against. I won't say America, but the politics that are practiced in America and other places are kicked against. And we have to learn to love ourselves when we look in the mirror. And a lot of people don't have to go through that process of retraining themselves to love themselves because of a systematic oppression tactic put on their brains from the time that they're born.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when I look in the mirror, I had to learn to forgive myself, to affirm myself. I also identify as a Christian, and that's toxic all in itself. And then I had to learn to fight the battle or love on my own family. Brother just said it. We talk about having good hair. I had good hair. It's gone now, but I had good hair. It was curly. It was kinky. It was wonderful. But I had a nose, and people go, pinch the boy's nose, pinch it. Why you pinching my nose? You hear what I'm saying? Or I'm a sexist too. I'm a Carcarian, patriarchal sexist. Man, by the time you get done dealing with your own stuff, when I look in the mirror, Malcolm said it was a closet. I had to go into my closet, fight with myself, excuse me, I don't mean no harm, kick my own ass and say, look, man, you can't live like this if you want to live. You got to change how you functioning. Then I got to go back and have a conversation with my daddies, the men who came before me. I kissed my grandfather when he was dead because we didn't kiss each other. That was a no-no. And I made it a point, a Black man, my age, I made it a point to kiss my uncles and my daddy and my babies. They said, what's wrong with him? I had to learn that man in the mirror said change. I had to change and then go get the skills to sit with folk, sometimes mess up really bad. And then forgive myself for messing up in public, and then say, I'm gonna love me because you had enough tenacity to do better. to do better. One time, was a white man, he was homeless. He asked for a beer. I gave him a beer and a sandwich. My wife looked at me and said, "What the hell happened to you?" The man was hungry. That could have been my brother. That could have been my daddy. Could have been my child. So the man in the mirror said, change.
Very touching to hear you, TC.
Yeah. Yeah.
You started preaching at 4 o'clock in the morning and you're still powerful. TC, I'm so grateful to hear you, and what I'm hearing from you and from Leah and from Ken is, in order to have relationship to each other, how do we find how we're hurting each other? How do we find where we're not even noticing that we're stepping on each other? And how to not, I hear you say, forgive yourself, how to not go in shame with that, because that's just gonna cramp us up, but to forgive ourselves and then change. And that's really powerful testimony, TC. And I'm also looking at our timing, Diane, and I know we wanted to open it up to the larger group. What are you thinking? I know Nikki wants to speak.
I just wanted to say, I want to include Sudiata in that, because I think he really brought in the core concept for me, which was learning to love yourself in a society where on some level you've been told since you were a child that you don't really add up somehow. And you integrate that and then finding your way back to yourself. That's a path I wonder if we're all on. And I hear that as well. So you can move on. I just wanted to include Sundiata in that.
Thanks, Nikki.
You know what, Lane? Yeah, it is. We want to open this up for everybody. I also, though, want to bring up that, I mean, what we're talking about now are big issues that we all need to work on ourselves around. There's plenty of that. What we wanted to do today was to look at, no, we're flawed. We need to care more about each other, but can we look at the issues that are facing us right now today and find a way, or at least express an interest in saying we can support each other, flawed that we are, in justice and liberation? That when we hear that a synagogue is, if there's somebody fires on a synagogue, as a racial justice collaborative, we can send out a notice to all of our newsletter and say, this is wrong, this must stop. And as Jewish people, because we're a Black-led organization. So, but and we say those things about Black issues, but can we get other people and other organizations that are not Black to, when a police officer shoots somebody in the back, I don't know him, I don't know if he's good or bad, I don't care, that is wrong. And can we get people to send out op-eds or something that says, I'm Jewish and I care about Black people being killed, I'm Black and I care about this denial business. You know, thank you, Lane, what he's brought to the collaborative, and even just today, I don't understand, I've never understood all of this replacement theory. I never could understand what in the world did that mean? And he explains it. Now I can see that is the same thing that's going on with Black people now. I see commonality. I'm going to speak up for both. I don't have to know you, but I know that's wrong. That's what we would like. Speak up.
I think people always know right from wrong. You know, like TC said, he was hungry. You know that you don't want to see someone being hungry sitting on the street. It shouldn't matter if they're black, white, woman, man, whatever. You know right from right and wrong from wrong. And that's, I think, what we should be getting at is, he could have been a criminal, but you don't shoot anybody in the back 25 times as they're running away. That is just not the correct way to treat another human being. And I think that's the thing where, these types of events where we can get to know each other and put some personal perspective on that, then when something like that happens, then we're more apt to react and say, no, that is not right. Because we all know, the worst supremacist in the world knows that you shouldn't kill people. And if you killed their daughter or son, they'd be mad about it. Why'd you kill my daughter or my son? But, they don't take it that next step. Well, it should apply to anyone. It should apply to a cat. You shouldn't go kicking cats and treating dogs poorly. I mean, things that are alive have value, and we need to appreciate the value in them. And when something goes wrong, be able to say, that's not right. I see it, I notice it. And, I might be fearful of saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway, that's not right. And I may not be a black person and see another black person, but as a white person, it's still not right. I don't care who you are. If it's wrong, period.
And can I just say, I know you wanted to get, but what I thought about when you were saying that, and Diane, thanks for what you said, I immediately thought about like the submersible submarine. Like, I mean, if I saw another, I feel sorry for the folks that submerge themselves, but meanwhile, migrants are dying off the coast of Greece and folks are getting shot in our cities, and so your sense of doing something, like, because the news cycle squashes the pain, the shooting, the violence against Black and brown people, and instead we're immersed with the story about a submarine, which sadly happened, but clearly doesn't deserve that kind of, and it's an example, Frank, I think, of what you were saying of like, and Diane, like whether we know or not, I think we need to speak up, and that's a good message for me.
Yeah.
Right.
So Diane, how should we proceed now?